I guess it's kind of like a big thing to hear. Like, I don't know, and I guess I didn't really, comprehend it totally. Like, it was just like, oh, you have a brain injury, like, that sounds serious, but I thought I'd be better sooner.
When you have somebody laying there and they can't respond back, your mind goes in so many different directions.
You leave the hospital with a broken child. You don't know how severe, you don't know what you're left with.
As a parent, you just want to make everything better, and we couldn't do that.
Brain injuries occur in a variety of ways and can happen at any age. It is particularly devastating when a child is injured. According to the Centers for Disease Control, brain injury is the most frequent cause of disability and death among children and adolescents in the United States. No matter how the injury occurs, brain injuries may result in lifelong changes and challenges for children, their families, and the community.
Children deal with being different. Many times, people with brain injuries can become very impulsive. They can have outbursts, very difficult to hold back and take time to think, hard to sustain focus. If there's any physical difficulties, can't be involved in athletics anymore. There are many, many things that children have to contend with, along with the fact that they are children.
Many students going back to school have to re-identify who they are. As the student goes from class to class, grade to grade, elementary to junior high to high school, they constantly have to retell the story and re-educate.
Although each brain injury and its effects are different, what all brain injuries have in common is the way that they change the lives of the families involved forever.
I'm Brandon, and I'm 11 years old. Some things I like at school are leaving, break, free time.
In many ways, Brandon is a typical 11-year-old boy. He likes video games, riding his skateboard, and playing the drums. But there is something very different about Brandon, brought on by an accident at a local park when he was a young child.
It was 2 days after his 4th birthday, and we went to just get away. It was a nice day, and as we were playing, a Little League team came to practice.
My dad was holding me, and I was watching my brother throw a tennis ball at the wall, and I just got hit.
One of the children hit the ball. We heard heads up, and the ball came out of the air about 120 feet and hit Brandon on top of his head and caused a depressed skull fracture.
After a week in the hospital, Brandon was sent home with very little indication of what long-term impacts his injury might have. However, it didn't take long for Mary and Randy to notice changes in their son's behavior.
When he first came home and his behaviors were, you could tell they were a little more intense. His reactions to the word no. If it was bedtime, you had your normal 4-year-old, but he took it way past there almost immediately. And then he would get violent.
When I was younger here, I used to put holes in the walls.
Brandon would make verbal threats towards me.
Towards a lot of people. Anybody.
And that was not Brandon's nature. He was a very mellow, funny kid. So I called the pediatrician. I said, something's not right here. And the pediatrician said, I think maybe we need to get a neuropsychological eval on him.
Aggression and impulsive behavior are common symptoms that may occur as the result of a brain injury. Brandon's neuropsychological evaluation revealed cognitive and behavioral changes indicative of possible long-term consequences.
Just going through one day is really hard for Brandon. Without his medication, he couldn't function.
Mm-hmm.
With the medication, he can function, but a lot of things are modified for him.
When I get mad, I swear, throw things.
You have a child now that you didn't think you'd ever have. And it really, maybe it's harder on the moms. I know it was harder on me to accept the change. It's impacted our older son tremendously. I think sometimes he doesn't want to have friends over because he gets embarrassed by his little brother. And even, we try and explain to his friends that, his brother has a brain injury. I don't think they really get it. I would say a big challenge is trying to find a balance with all of your children. And you really don't realize the amount of time you spend with the one who has the brain injury. It's all that time spent away from the other one.
Brandon's parents have worked hard to ensure that he gets the education and supports he is entitled to receive in a special education classroom that can accommodate his needs.
One thing we did learn in dealing with the school, number one, we got tossed into the special ed world and we didn't know the rules. And nobody tells you anything. And we didn't know what questions to ask because we don't know how the game's played.
It's weird because the school takes over the meetings, and basically you just feel that you're at their mercy. So a lot of times your child will get services but won't get the proper services unless you're there and you know the rules and how you can, tell them basically, this is what I want.
As the years have progressed, we're much more comfortable realizing we are an important member of that team because we know Brandon. We know what works and what doesn't work.
For Brandon, the work continues outside of school as well. Utilizing Medicaid home and community-based waiver services from the New York State Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, Brandon receives service coordination, respite and residential habilitation services, and behavioral intervention.
It's a home-based service where they send, we have a school psychologist and a social worker who come out to the home, and they include the whole family in it to help de-escalate the behaviors.
I'm trying to work harder not to get mad.
One thing we find with brain injury is it's peaks and valleys. He can be doing so well for so long, and then I don't know what happens, but then we come crashing down. And that's really when you want your supports, and you need more, and you need to ask for more. And we've learned that. We've tried to do it on our own. And we've realized, okay, we need help.
Mary and Randy have started a number of support groups for parents of students with disabilities to help them advocate for their children. At home, they tirelessly focus on meeting the needs of their entire family, hoping that the future will bring good things to all of them.
What I want to do when I grow up is ride dirt bikes.
Our dreams for Brandon would be that he can be all that he can be. Whatever that is. He can do a lot. He has a lot of potential.
Hopefully, have a family, be in control of his destiny.
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm 17 now, and I had my injury when I was 15 years old.
Prior to her brain injury, Allie was a teenager living a very busy life.
Her life before the injury consisted of school and tons of extracurricular activities.
I've been dancing since I was 2, so I would take like 5 dance classes a week. And then I used to do Taekwondo, but when I started high school, I switched to track instead. So I would go to school, I'd go to track, I'd come home and eat and do homework, and then I'd go to 2 dance classes.
But all of that activity was suddenly put on hold for Allie and her family 2 years ago.
Allie was hurt in a dance class, and she ended up getting thrown onto her head on a hardwood floor.
They just said, you have a good old concussion sort of thing, and sent me home.
We kind of thought, like everyone, it'd be a few weeks, she'll be totally fine, and that's what most of the physicians said. But as it went on, she was really just totally out of sorts. She would forget things in 20, 30 seconds, a brutal headache.
She couldn't handle the stimulation of a lot of different things coming at her at once. It just increased her symptoms, made her more confused, and the headaches just got much worse. She spent this summer from June until September in her room, in a dark room with the lights out.
Concerned that Allie's symptoms did not lessen over time as the doctors had suggested, Drew and Stephanie began doing their own research.
We just kept seeking information. We stumbled upon the New York State Brain Injury Association, which was incredible, and the FACTS program really helped guide us at that point.
FACTS is a program that's offered that stands for Family Advocacy Counseling and Training Services. FACTS coordinators offer family support, information, referral to different systems and programs. We offer free trainings and education.
Working with Allie's FACS coordinator enabled Stephanie and Drew to put together the right supports for Allie to return to school.
We had her come at the beginning of both her 10th grade and 11th grade school years to come in and meet with all of her teachers.
All the staff were there to familiarize them with what's going on with Allie and what TBI is and what that means and the potential for what people can do to help her.
The FACS coordinator conducted a training for the entire school team about brain injury and its specific effects on Allie. Based on input from her doctors and neuropsychologists, the school implemented what's called a 504 plan for Allie.
A 504 plan is a plan used to ensure and identify accommodations that a student needs in place in order for them to be successful.
Learning new things is very different than it used to be. It's really frustrating because I used to be the kid that would like sit in class and just kind of soak it in and not really have to study and get like A's. And now I have to work really hard to like take notes and take a lot of time to study things.
She has to actually put forth the effort, a lot of effort now.
My English teacher who I have for World Lit this year, he had me in freshman year also, so he's really good. He understands like how I was before, and it's not that I'm not as smart, it just like takes more to get there.
And Mr. Farry, he's in the resource room and he's been phenomenal for Allie. He is the person she can go to and say, I need help here. This teacher isn't understanding me. This teacher isn't giving me extra time, and he will make sure that that happens.
I like the fact that Allie is self-advocating. She needs to say how she feels. We all need to know exactly where she's at so that we don't smother her, give her too much, but we also make her know that we are here when she does feel like she needs the extra help.
For Allie, learning how to advocate for herself has been a real challenge. She never had to ask for help before.
Part of what makes it hard is, especially when she's outside and in the outside world, she tries to put on the face and she tries to be happy. And so everybody say, oh, I saw Allie, she looks great, she says she's doing great.
And it's one of those things like I don't have a cast, I don't have like a broken wrist, so people don't see it when they look at you, but so they'll just be like, oh, you're looking better and things like that. And it's frustrating because I'm not gonna like get mad at them and be like, you know what, actually I'm not better. It's just like hard to hear.
Some people may look at her and see this beautiful young lady and think that everything is quote unquote normal, and she's really dealing with these, trying to find these new pathways in her brain so that she can make accommodations for herself.
I think the outside world doesn't see what it costs her to put on the face when she's out in public, and it costs her a lot.
Allie works with a cognitive rehabilitation therapist outside of school to rebuild pathways within the brain and improve processing skills that were lost or damaged in the injury. With so much effort now going into her studies and rehabilitation, Allie has little time for the extracurriculars and social life she once enjoyed.
I used to get a lot of my social life with the activities, like at dance I'd see people, and like I didn't go to camp, so I didn't see any of my camp friends, and so it's hard to keep in touch with the people that I used to know.
She's not as bubbly and outgoing all the time. Her center's a little more focused, and she's got 3 or 4 people that she deals with, and that's it, and that's apparently enough.
Her friends have really stepped up. I've been impressed that these teenagers have said, we understand this has happened to you, but you're still our friend, you're still in our classes, and we're gonna be here for you all the way through.
For now, the work toward rehabilitation continues, but Allie and her family remain hopeful that the future will be promising and pain-free.
She has had an amazing attitude. I know I personally would not have had near this attitude if I had had a constant headache for 20 months.
We both are just in awe of her determination to push through.
I guess I'm like a motivated person, so that probably helps.
I think our hopes for Allie at this point are for her to reach her new potential, whatever that will be.
I always, even before the injury, like I'm kind of like I like lots of stuff. I'm all over the place. Like I'd love to be on Broadway, but if that doesn't work out, I guess now I'm more interested in like the brain and all that. So I think I'd like to go into something medical, maybe cognitive rehab therapy, because that's helped me a lot.